Yeah, welcome to another edition of Fire Up Michigan. My name is Scott Morgan, North Motor City Mad Mouth, appropriately named, especially for this show, anyways. And we have another great show lined up. First of all, though, I do want to take care of a few other pieces of business before I go there. Number one, obviously, tomorrow's election day. If you want to have a voice of what's going on tomorrow, go ahead and vote. One other little thing I should point out too is more of a celebration type of comment. Is unfortunately over the weekend I lost my Aunt Mary in Michigan, but really rest in peace, Aunt Mary. But the woman lived 103 years. So
Wow.
one
Talk
of
about a
the,
long, full life.
yeah, she did. I
Wow.
had a chance to introduce my wife Candy to her a few years ago. So rest in peace, Aunt Mary. Watched her funeral via the internet today, and the family did a remarkable job going out there and eulogizing this woman. So I had a chance to see her like 5 years ago. So 103 years old, Aunt Mary, you have one heck of a run. I just want to mention you here at the top of the show. All right, with that said, George Eichhorn is back for another week.
Yeah, good to be here, guys.
Smoking Jeremy B.
Always good to be here.
and Kirby's Coney interceptions. So
It should be singular,
interception. All right, well, whatever. Dom
but he
DeRubis.
had two. He did have two.
All right, well, nevertheless, when you look at Dom's tag every week, he changes it. So I like to go ahead and point out the different ones that this guy throws. And since he likes to throw curveballs, we might as well start the show with a baseball analogy. Oh, how brilliantly we can segue to that. All right. I promised you folks some Tiger talk, and that's what we're going to do. No, George Cal
Didn't
and
see it.
Al Kaline isn't walking through the door. This is Tiger Talk with the four of us. And yes, Dom is appropriately dressed for it. Thank you for supporting the old English day. So the focus on Tiger Talk. We'll talk about the Tigers front office hires. Scott Harris, all of 36 years of age, is a previous general manager with the San Francisco Giants of 20 to 22. Prior to that, he worked with the Chicago Cubs from 12 to 19, was a World Series champ 2016 with the Cubs. Rob Metzler, vice president, assistant general manager, 15 years at the Tampa Bay Rays. And last but not least, Mark Connor, director of amateur scouting, 13 years with the San Diego Padres. I would say we have a pretty interesting group there, right, George?
Yeah, I think so, Scott. I think that they're assembling their team right now. Although they haven't named a general manager yet, he's named some very important positions in the organization. The scouting and the farm system are crucial to rebuilding, as we all know. So hopefully they'll take the Tigers in a new direction and uh, be able to identify more prospects. I mean, one thing the Tigers are really weak on seems to be the international scouting. They have been for a long time, although they do have a lot of Venezuelan and Dominican Republic players now. For the longest time, they did not have much in the way of international players. So, and some of those guys, of course, were acquired by trade or free agencies. So the thing is that Scott Harris is a good guy. I think he's the right man. He's taken his time to name the general manager, but like I said, he's named two key positional guys, and that should help the ball club and get things going off the bat.
Well, I'm intrigued by the fact that Rob Metzler stayed 15 years with the Rays. I don't think you can do a whole lot better than 15 years with the Rays. And then to counter that, Mark Connor, obviously the director of amateur scouting with the San Diego Padres, 13 years. So you're talking about two hires that have double-digit years with their respective last job. So with that said, Dom DeRubis, sporting the Tiger gear, pick it up from there.
I think what matters more is how much of the pizza money um, Mr. Illich's son, daughter, family, wife, whatever, who's running that show. However, I really like the veteran hires because that's what it's going to take. But I mean, the roster. I mean, you do have to have the right front office guys in place to assemble this roster, but mostly devoid of talent. this roster. Most of this farm system, like it's really, I don't even want to say that and be that blunt or dramatic, but that's really what I see. And it's so very unfortunate that this guy, Mr. Baez, Mr. Baez, with your 230, 240 average, and his on base percentage is below 300 or 301. I mean to go on a rant, but that's where I'm at.
I warned everybody when we signed him that was the player he was.
Yeah.
He has power numbers. He's a super aggressive swinger and a high strikeout guy.
Well, I thought
He's
the
not
guy
good
that
enough to
should
be a
have
cleanup
called-
hitter, and we haven't had a number
Carlos
3 since
Correa.
Miggy was good.
I personally thought they should have brought on in Carlos Correa instead. It was familiar.
Yes.
With Hinge.
Yes.
That would have been a bunch of money too.
Yeah, a lot more money.
They offered him some money, and he was like, no. And then he took a 1-year deal somewhere else.
Yeah, with the Twins, and then
Well, they can still get him this offseason.
Yeah, well, they could.
Yeah.
So, Jeremy, give me your thoughts on the hires, and we're going to talk about the Lions.
I think it's great that we got guys with experience from teams that have been in championship situations. The Padres were just in the playoffs. Tampa Bay has been a perennial playoff powerhouse without spending money is the key.
Because spending any money.
Right. I mean, literally.
They have Taco Bell franchise.
And no fans.
Believe it or not, it costs less to get into the Taco Bell franchise than their salaries. But anyways.
That's 100% true.
But they have a great farm system. And having this guy in place is going to help to build this farm system back to what it was when Dombrowski, before he gutted it, trying to get every star under the planet, because he just wanted star firepower on the team as cheap as he could get them. Say what you want. Cabrera, he paid. Justin Verlander, he paid.
No, that was the rest of them. That was that pizza money trying to buy a World
I understand.
Series.
They were trying to buy a World Series, but they were doing it with stars on the cheap. If you look at it, they were always under the cap. He never paid a luxury tax.
That's true.
So he was acquiring guys with stars on the cheap by trading away the farm to get these guys.
He paid a lot for Pudge Rodriguez.
I love Dylan Dave.
Oh, Pudge Rodriguez was a great move.
Yeah, he paid a lot for. Well, he had Ordonez. He had. Yeah, I mean, those guys. You make a good point, Jeremy. But the fact of the matter is that they've got to start somewhere, and starting. You hate to say starting because we were told that the rebuild might be over. Yeah, right.
When we placed third 2 years ago, you can ask Dom because we were in a Detroit sports-based chat. I said, they overachieved. They're going to have a hard fall this coming season. I said, we don't have enough consistency at the top of the lineup. We don't have a good back end of the rotation. And we have a closer, as I've always said, that likes to have friends on the base path because he gets lonely.
Never heard that one before. That's actually pretty good.
Captain Shaky.
We had two other closers that were just like that before, but they were better at closing out once they get players around there. Todd Jones.
Captain Shaky.
Yeah, we know.
And then, of course,
I'm going to get Jose Valverde. And I'm going to go wherever
Jose Valverde. He would do the same thing. We'd have a 4-run lead or a 3-run lead, which is just enough for him to get his save credentials. And he would walk 2 batters, strike 1 out, make 1 pop up, get a single, and they move everybody over, might even score a run, and then he'd finally strike somebody out. That was Jose Valverde.
Jose Valverde was unblown savable for a whole season and a half.
Let me make reference to this while I have a moment. Subscribe to the South Florida Tribune on our YouTube channel or visit www.southfloridatribune.com. And to advertise, call 954-304-4941. The audio portion of the show can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, you can find me at Tribune South on Twitter. I should also point out, if you have difficulties getting to the YouTube channel through our website, no problem. Go to youtube.com, search for South Florida Tribune, hit the subscribe button. Then you'll be able to get all of our remote broadcasts as well as our streams as well. whether the remotes or media availabilities from the teams that we work with, or just plain old interviews, whatever. We have a lot of things that we're feeding the YouTube channel with, which can benefit anybody out on the planet. So, with that said, okay, take care of a little bit of business there. So, all you guys, any closing thoughts about the Detroit Tigers?
Yes. You know who was my favorite?
Who's that?
Fernando Rodney. He
Okay.
he was a setup man along with Zamaya for Captain Shaky the first time. Then he came back in a brief stint as our closer. Fernando Rodney is like top 7 or 8 all time in saves and has pitched for 25 teams.
Yeah,
Realistically, like 10 or 12. He's like the
guy we
Jimmy
shoulda
Jackson
grabbed.
of Major League Baseball.
Do you remember who was available the year we got Valverde? And we passed on him? Who's a much better
Right.
closer and didn't put people on the base path? Trevor Hoffman.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Well, stuff happens.
Trevor Hoffman was once, for some amount of time, the all-time saves leader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't live
So
in
we
the
got
past.
Joe Nathan.
Can't live in the past. Got to go forward now.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, he had a heck of a career with the San Diego Padres, Milwaukee Brewers. All right. Well, now that we did our Tiger talk, it's time to talk about something that doesn't happen much this year, but it did yesterday. And I can truly say that, my house divide kind of worked out a little on my favor. The Detroit Lions 15-9 win over the Green Bay Packers. Not a good day for
I'm
Aaron
gonna do
Rodgers. Also,
Yep.
former UVM outside linebacker Rashawn
Oh.
Gary. Team high
Didn't
6
see
sacks after the season. Injured his right knee. But let's face the reality. Here's the thing about Rodgers. In 2021, he had 4 interceptions all year. After 9 games, he's had 7 interceptions, and a few of those were yesterday. So with that said, Dom, there you go. You give me all the body language, and I'll put it into words.
Before I even do that, since I did the fingers thing, did one of you had to have seen on the 5th touchdown when Joe Mixon went in and he went 5
Yeah.
touchdowns. Joe Mixon
Didn't watch
yesterday.
the game, but I like Joe Mixon. But go ahead.
What an effort by the defense. Kudos to Aaron Glenn for saving his job for he saved his job for several weeks for scapegoating Aubrey Pleasant, which I don't hate that firing, and obviously Aaron Glenn wasn't going to get fired. But I want to go on record to say that Saturday, Friday, all throughout the rest of the week prior to that, as soon as I saw the schedule, Jeremy, what did I say?
We're sweeping Green Bay.
We're halfway there. Look at that defense showing up now that it's healthy.
What did I say? What did I say about Green Bay in the offseason? And everybody gave me shit about it on my podcast.
You can't say that word.
Yeah, you can. It's normal.
You can?
It's something we do.
Well, okay, but anyway, continue on.
I said Green Bay will either be 3rd or 4th in the division. I said their wide receiver core is decimated. They picked up 3 corpses to replace Devontae Adams, and none of them will last the season. Sammy Watkins has already been hurt. Randall Cobb's already been hurt. Who's the other one they picked up? There was 3 of them. Oh, and Lazard. They re-signed Lazard. All 3 of those guys have never played 16 games when it was a 16-game season. They expect them to play 17 games?
Randall Cobb is 70.
He is a corpse of what he used to be. He's good when he's on the field and he'll move the chains, but he's no longer a red zone target. Sammy Watkins, you saw he ran in on an out route at the goal line, and even the coach was like, at him.
Sammy Watkins is the greatest receiver in the NFL for 5 quarters a game once a year.
Yes, absolutely. He'll have that stretch of 5 or 6 quarters, a game and a half, where he gets like 300 yards within him, and then he disappears the rest of the season.
Yeah, I actually saw him play in Jacksonville when the Chiefs were there against the Jaguars. He had a pretty good game. That's when I caught my attention.
Yeah, that's one of the good games he had. That's one of them that year.
I know.
Something I didn't know. I mean, I'm sure, obviously, we all saw it. Green Bay had the ball inside our 25-yard line 5 times. 3 points. Derek Barnes had the best game of his life. Kirby Joseph is experiencing the Amani Oruwariye effect when Okudah got hurt last year, except Kirby Joseph is actually good. Oruwariye, jury's still out. He's not as good as he was last year. He's not as bad as he is this year. But we have other capable corners.
Jerry Jacobs actually made some good plays.
What's it? Elliott, Deshaun Elliott, Jalen Elliott, that safety, been very good. Much like I said, the offense, those first 3-4 games, I'm like, the offense, not this good. Not a top 5 offense. Top 10 offense, yes, when mostly healthy. Defense,
what's funny is
not that bad. Not a bottom 6 offense, not a bottom 5. Go ahead, Jeremy, I'm done.
That offense, we have not seen it play with all the same players from the first 4 games.
What's the count now? How many games have we played? We're
26.
26 and counting. 0 snaps for our starting 5-0 linemen.
Yeah.
It's reaching 34, by the way. Now we're just counting for fun. We know it's getting to at least 34. It's like the ball dropping. Hopefully the ball doesn't drop to 35.
Right.
Decker may be gone. Vaitai may be gone. Sorry. Sorry.
That being said, this was the best defensive effort through all 4 quarters we've seen. What about Hutch? They said he can't cover. He looked pretty good intercepting that football, didn't he?
Sure did.
First of his pro career.
Yep. And I doubt it'll be his last, but I doubt there'll be very many more because he's not that guy usually. But he read that was a play action and dropped back in coverage with that lineman when he was the tackle or receiving eligible lineman and read it perfectly. I mean, that was a good pass by Rodgers. He was just there.
Well, don't throw it to David Bakhtiari.
He threw it to the wrong uniform. Rodgers had a pitiful game. The Lions took advantage of it. They didn't do enough offensively, 15 points. I'm sorry,
I mean,
that's barely enough to do anything.
I don't even care that our offense was mediocre and awful.
Should have Dan Campbell again, 2 coaching mishaps. Should have taken the 3 points on the first drive.
And it had never been that close.
Not putting the ball. You got the highest paid kicker punter in the league, and you don't punt that ball and put Green Bay way back.
Thank you for saying that.
In the game.
I said they should have let the clock run down.
2 more mistakes.
I said at that point where they were at, it was a bad place to punt. And Jack Fox has a big leg where he usually puts it into the end zone and gives them the 20, which is still better than where they were. They should have ran it down, took the delay of game, went back 5 yards, and then let them punt.
Well, it still should have been punted.
Right.
Anyways.
Isn't that the Lions? Lions, but we won.
The only thing I'm going to say about this, okay, is I don't understand Dan Campbell's obsession going for it on 4th down all the time. I really do.
20 attempts already.
Right. Well, here's the thing.
No, that was before the game. That was before the game. It's 22 attempts now.
Well, whatever the case may be, he had 3 points. Why the heck do you not go out there and take the stupid field goal?
I don't care that we're on the 3-yard line and they were hoping to be able to sack Rodgers and get the safety like they did against Washington and run the score up. That's what they were thinking.
Well, let's not forget about what they're thinking because I tend to wonder what they really are thinking. And just so you know, my name is Scott, not Sigmund Freud, just in case you remember. Okay, but the reality of the situation is Danny, okay?
Take the point.
Oh, it's funny that you say Sigmund Freud.
Well,
more on that later.
Okay, you know what Dan Campbell and I really have in common? Okay, Campbell has a soup and I have a towel named after me. So, but that said, okay, so he does. He has a soup, so you don't get residuals on them, and I have a towel. I don't get residuals on them. But Dan, okay, don't be afraid to kick a field goal once in a while because I can even count to 1, 2, 3 as in points. Okay.
Yes,
I agree, all of them, and. You know, all these close games, all these coaches that are obsessed with going for it on 4th down. I understand once in a while, but all the time, no way. So, Dan, it's called overthinking. And for a lot of Detroit Lions fans that are thinking we got Dan Campbell, people
But hang
knew-
on.
Pardon me?
But hang on. Well, keep going, and then
All right, but let me tell you, the New York Jets are flying high with Robert Saleh, and he obviously decided to go there. And how is it working out? Pretty good. But Dan,
Well, guess
going
what?
this week, you may have,
you know what the other thing I predicted was?
what's that?
We go winless in Jersey, and it looks a lot more likely now, doesn't it?
Possibly.
Yeah, that's possible. Hello, Jennifer
What's
Matthews. How you
possible
doing?
about it? Those are both playoff teams.
But the reality of the situation is, Dan, quit overthinking. Kick a stinking field goal and not go for it on fourth down all the time.
He doesn't do that.
Absolutely.
He needs a new name. Dealin'
Yeah.
Dan, that doesn't work because there's already Dealin' Dave. So Gamblin' Dan, like Riverboat Ron,
Well, let me tell you.
Gamblin'
when-
Dan. Listen, here's why. Ultimately, he's that kind of guy. He's going to do that no matter what, even if we had a better defense. Second of all, other than for about 7 quarters and 5 plays of this whole season, do you trust that defense when your offense is that good? No, you don't. Don't lie to me. Don't
No,
Me?
I'm not in an agreement with you.
Oh, okay. I thought you were shaking it. I'm sorry. I thought you went.
Good Lord.
Trusted.
Don't
yell at me.
Well, what you guys are really
Yesterday you couldn't trust them.
What?
No.
what all you guys are missing here is he can
You-
afford to take a few extra chances. Hold on, okay? He can afford to take a few extra chances. And I'll tell you why. He's got a 6-year contract, okay? So when you have a little bit more job security, you can afford to take your chance.
You're right. But
You are. You have a
listen,
little job
listen. The fact
security.
remains. I don't know. You don't know. George doesn't know. Jeremy doesn't know. Dan Campbell doesn't know. Aaron Glenn doesn't know. No one knows which offense and which defense is going to show up
Week to week.
Screw week to week, play to play, quarter to quarter, half to half. They don't know. We don't know. You don't know.
Don't yell.
I'm
Yeah.
screaming. This is
But that
important. I'm sorry for
Hey,
yelling.
George,
Stop
I don't
screaming.
mind if Dom yells. That's just his personality. I get him.
That's
up.
a good.
Ow.
That is a good observation, Dom. Because you don't know exactly
Right.
which is going to
I'm
show
sorry
up.
for yelling, Jeremy.
But you don't
Well,
have
but
to
here's
go
the
for it.
thing,
You
okay?
don't have to go for it on every fourth down. I agree with Scott.
But let me
And-
say this, okay?
Ultimately, you
Hold on.
punt when you give the punter the money.
We
Hold
have
on
a
a minute.
we have a
Wait a
comment.
minute. Hold on. Here's the thing, okay? When we talk about what Dom says, okay, you lose all these close games because you don't kick a field goal. Every point matters, okay? And when you look at what Dom is talking about, keep nodding that head, okay?
What was the score at halftime?
Exactly.
Absolutely, you take the points. Absolutely, you point. But that's not Dan Campbell. That's not
Right,
this
I
team.
know.
We still won.
Hey, listen. Hey,
Don't
listen.
question it. Just go with it.
Listen, Dom, I'm agreeing with you. You get it? I agree with you. Okay, good stuff. Okay. And I'd love to see the day that you and I can do some NASCAR stuff because it's not beneath us to do that. Right?
Oh boy.
Oh, yeah, I know. Don't get me going. But at any rate, no, Dom, you're on target. I mean, this guy's got job security is what he's got. So if you take an extra chance or two, we'll see where it comes in year 3.
Does he?
If the wins don't mount up, then you got a bigger problem about gambling where every point matters. So
That's
We
2
do have-
wins.
We do have a comment. Jennifer Matthews Lewis. Howdy,
Says-
fellas.
Howdy, Jen.
Hi, Jen.
That's
I
a,
thought
Jen,
there's
that's
going
a
to be
small
someone
comment.
sitting
She's
up
gotta-
and stop screaming.
She's got to be as happy as I am we beat Green Bay.
okay. Yeah, you're going to ruin your draft pick now, huh?
Screw the
Is that
draft
what-
pick.
Is that what you want,
I-
Jeremy?
No,
I've never
You wanna
cared.
bring up-
Wait, whoa. I've never cared about high draft picks.
You want your 5
we're
or 6
still going to
win
finish
season?
one above Carolina. Then we're going to trade word
We
I
already
won't say
moved-
on air.
We're already
Them
the
for
They're
a
going to
bunch of
have to
picks.
move up if they want to get a good quarterback.
Exactly.
Because
Nobody-
if we win 5 or 6 games, we're going to muddle things up.
Why does everybody want a quarterback?
It's
Come
not
on.
the year
Dead
to get a
serious.
quarterback.
Dead serious.
Come on.
Listen, no,
Someone
George. Listen.
Trade
to,
up
let,
a bunch of picks
Dom,
to get a quarterback.
Dom, let me
It's not
talk.
the long-term
Let me talk.
answer.
Let me talk.
Go ahead.
Number one, Brad Holmes said it. You don't draft a quarterback until the team is built. Is this team built where it can win without a quarterback right now? No.
No.
right.
So you wait, you fix the defense, you make sure the trenches are 100% in place, you get your other contested catch big wide receiver. This draft, next year is when you draft your quarterback if you have to.
Well, here, let me just take it a
Yeah,
step further.
Jeremy's right. Put it to you this way.
Wait, hold on. This one's directed at you, Jeremy. Okay, you don't have to draft a quarterback in the first round. How many quarterbacks have you seen?
Oh, no.
Round
I-
2, 3, 4?
I want to see one third rounder later this year as
Grayson
a developmental quarterback, and I want Grayson McCall.
Oh, so you want one this year then?
I
don't want one in the first round. I don't want
Okay.
one in the first round. I want playmakers. I want
Well, let
guys that are going to
some
change
idiot-
this defense.
Let some other dumbass team draft up. I don't want us to win another game because I want someone to trade up, even if it's Carolina 1 pick, because you're giving me that 2 and your second round and 3
Dom.
other picks.
As much as I hate to say it, there's no way we're getting the 1 pick back because I don't think Houston could beat a high school team.
Have you seen Damian Pierce?
It's not about Damian Pierce. It's about that defense and that quarterback combined.
And there's
The
3
neck is
games.
not that
There's
bad.
there's 3
I don't think we'll
games.
be in the
Green
top
Bay,
3 either, but we'll
Chicago,
probably be 4 or
Chicago.
5.
So there's 3 more, at least 3 more.
4.
Lions
There's
victories,
4
I
more
think.
winnable games.
Who's the
You're-
4th?
Yeah, something like
forgetting
that.
about
Which
you're
4 are you
forgetting about-
counting?
Jacksonville,
Crapsonville.
Yeah, win the ball, but they won't.
maybe
We're
Minnesota
losing
too.
to the Bears twice. We'll beat Green Bay 1 more time.
Might be
We
Minnesota
will
too.
Probably lose to the Vikings.
You know what? We will beat one of those New Jersey teams.
I
Odds
don't
are
know about
we
you
might.
guys, but I can actually
Not
see
at
them
all.
beating them. Hold on. I can actually see them beating the Vikings at Ford Field. They did it a year ago. Why not?
Yeah.
Depends. I'm not so sure. I
CJ
give-
Atkinson has 11 catches for 210 yards and 6 touchdowns.
You might have 5.
Wait.
You might have 5 or 6
wait.
Lion wins.
Jefferson couldn't do that against AO. You expect him to do that against Okuda? Oh, wait, we already played Okuda on Jefferson. And what did he get? 3
Nothing.
catches for 14 yards.
We
Right.
won't win that game, though. I mean, maybe we do. Maybe we do.
Well, we'll talk
It
about
all,
that.
you
We'll
know,
talk
all
about
play
that.
out, Scott and
We'll
guys.
talk about that at a
6,
later date.
6
yeah.
or 7 wins.
You know, all
Maybe.
play
By
out.
How
6.
about that? Hey, wait, I do got an observation I want to make. It only took 9 weeks for the defense to finally look like they're getting this game versus 13 like last year.
That's improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a great point. Thank you for that.
9 instead of
Like
13
it's-
games.
It's
Good
tragic, but it's like it's
spot on,
tragically-
though.
It's tragically improving.
Yeah. I mean, we all said this team is going to be in a lot of games. We never yes, we all
I know.
bought into
I know.
Hard Knocks, drank some Kool-Aid and increased our win totals for a minute. But after we started watching them, we were like, this team's not that talented.
Listen, no one other than the Cardinals has played the undefeated Eagles any closer. 3 points.
There
The
you go.
Dolphins think they're good. They beat us by 4 points.
They only beat Chicago by 3 points.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I'm going to tell you something about the Miami Dolphins, though. And nobody's going to sit here and tell me what. and
Pray for Tua.
I mean their media releases all the time. You got Tua starting to play much better football. Mike Gesicki is a solid man. And nobody's going to sit here and tell me that Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I mean, this is an offense.
And that Wilson dude came in and did work. So between him and Mostert, like somebody will be healthy. They'll make the playoffs. I said that from the beginning.
Right,
Is
and
Tua
then they
going
added
to survive?
Wilson. Hold on. They added Jeff Wilson from the 49ers, who Mike McDaniel's familiar with. So
No, yeah, that's what I was saying. Between
Yeah,
Wilson
they-
and Mostert, those are both his guys.
yeah,
They are
right.
both his guys, and
Very
both of them
promising.
don't play a
They
full
do.
season.
Yeah, they'll
So-
get in the playoffs.
they have
They're in the
two.
playoffs.
They have
I'll
two
tell you
because
what.
they need them.
Yeah,
They need them
They
because
also
neither
got
one can play a
Chase
full
Edmonds,
season.
right?
Between the two of them, they might get a running back that lasts all year.
Yeah, but all I'm going to say is don't sell this Miami Dolphins team short.
Okay. So
I'm not. I'm being honest.
I
We
know.
won't.
so am I. I'm
Probably
really
make the
hoping
playoffs.
to.
They might surprise someone in the first round, but
Well, we'll see about that. But I'm just.
I
saying,
think quietly, and I'm going to make this statement quietly, the Bradley Chubb move was huge.
Oh yeah, you're right about that.
That's what makes them a playoff contender, not just a playoff maker.
Totally agree. Really, good point. Good point.
And you guys poo-pooed on it last week. I want to go into this more. You heard that they offered TJ Hawkinson a contract and he didn't want that. He wanted 15 plus million. He wanted top three. He wanted top
money.
three tight end money. He's not a top three
not.
tight end. This year in production, besides being the leading receiver for the Lions, because he had 2 games where he showed his ass, and then the other 5 he disappeared.
I agree.
So he was
Not
15th
consistent.
in production.
I'm not against that trade at all.
He was 15th. He was 15th in production, and as far as a run blocker, out of 120 offensive linemen and tight ends, he was ranked 115th.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
horrible.
We got fooled by George Kittle, and guess who else can't stay healthy?
No,
right. The only one of those 3 that stay healthy that are so good.
No, not tough enough. Not tough enough for Dan Campbell. Hawkinson.
No, he's not. Noah Fant.
What's up next, Scott?
Noah Fant was the starter in Iowa.
I have to say, I really enjoyed the show with all you guys going at it, other than the fact that Jeremy needs to study the English language about what words work versus what don't, if you get my drift, okay?
Okay. Feces. Is that better?
There you go. And you know what?
Excrement.
I'm glad you show's not FCC regulated, because I'll send you the bill, Jeremy. Okay? Because if it were...
Fined and suspended.
Manure?
No. Hey, Jeremy.
Manure. The manure. I remember that.
FCC regulated, Jeremy. You'd be smoking all the way to the bank here, making sure you got me some real cash here to pay the
I hear you. I'm just being funny anyways. You know me. I got my Jeremy-isms, and the crap word is one of them. How's that?
Well, that's okay. That's a little better than some of the ones you've used, but we'll leave it at that. Okay, on to the next subject before I say something. And then Dom has got his head there probably laughing so hard because I'm using the Morse code to try to give you a Webster's dictionary perspective about what words we appropriately used and which ones. All I can tell you is I don't want the man upstairs.
Who was it? George Carlin? Something about like 8 words you can't say.
Right.
Well, but the problem is, no, it was 7. But guess what? He removed that word because the FCC has allowed it on regular TV since 1983.
Maybe, but
true.
But maybe
we don't want to get demonetized. We haven't even got monetized.
But Jeremy,
no, I haven't got monetized yet either, and I made mine 21 and older on purpose.
This is a sports family.
Everything you can do,
Jeremy.
Yep, I know.
Sports family.
Sports gambling.
Okay.
Oh, family. They said gambling.
All right.
I am totally upset with Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills because they ruined my 4-game parlay.
Yeah, well, they stunk.
They did.
All right. Well, let's talk about a interesting fact here. And I think this is as interesting as it gets. The last time the Red Wings and Lions won on the same day was 12/31/2017. Interesting, right, George?
Actually, I believe
5 years ago? No way. Is that right, Scott?
Yeah,
that's right.
You know, I have to tell you, I normally don't normally like to divulge all my sources, but one of my newest friends lately, and I have a big account, but every now and then that screenshot that you take helps our shows out, folks. But I want to
someone made a meme after I already did the math, but it was like 3 years ago. Between the big 4, Lions, Pistons, Wings, Tigers, we had the lowest aggregate win percentage for 4 teams in a city in professional sports history.
Yeah.
And then 6 months later, here comes the meme. I'm like, I already told you guys this.
Yeah.
Well, let's
it was in the low 300s or high 200s, maybe.
Wow.
289 it was.
They're playing very well, Scott. Let's it's a team that's coming together. Okay, they're well coached, and they're showing some grit, and I love it. I love their style of play. They got guys that are out though, Bertuzzi and Verna, and now
Doesn't matter.
Zadina.
Next man up.
Zadina
Right,
got
well-
hurt. He's out for a while, and Robbie Fabry's not back. But yeah, I know. Yeah, the next guy up, which shows that they got some depth, and because they didn't used to have that much depth at all.
Well, let me incorporate another
Uh-oh.
fact into this equation, okay? The first
What do you got
one
there?
hold on, Jeremy. The first one I said the last time the Red Wings and the Lions won on the same day was 12/31/2017. The second one is the Red Wings hold the best record 7-3-2 for the first 12 games since 2010. So that's the better part of 12 years.
That's the
So-
impressive record, yes, that you're speaking of.
Right. So
And-
both of these facts are interesting because the Lions obviously and the Red Wings haven't won on the same day since 2017, 12/31. And now we incorporate this little nugget here about the Red Wings 12 game start of 7-3-2 for the first 12 games. So those are pretty good numbers. It's about time that Detroit was on the right end of these stats instead of the wrong end of these stats. Okay. All right. I'm going to go around the horn here. Okay. And let everybody go ahead and talk about both of those stats. All right, George, fire away.
Well, they're both very interesting stats. That's for darn sure. The one I'm more impressed with is the Red Wings start. Like you said, 7 wins by now. Nobody would have predicted that. Then don't forget, they got motivated too by the return of all these great players, led by Coach Scotty Bowman, and Mrs. Illich was even there. I was there Thursday night, and it was an unbelievable experience. Nobody knew that she was going to be in the house. She has not made a public appearance in Detroit in God knows how many years. So the fact that she was there with Chris, her son, and of course Jimmy Devellano and Bowman and Dave Lewis and Barry Smith and Iserman and Shanahan, and oh my God, it was great. And that motivated these kids. Don't kid yourself. Dylan Larkin and the boys, they were motivated. So those 2 wins at home are not unexpected. But going into Madison Square Garden and winning a game on Sunday, keeping the momentum going, oh my gosh.
Was that the
things
Rangers
are
or the
looking up right
Islanders?
now.
Celebrating that Stanley Cup that we bought.
Special teams has
Pizza,
been very
pizza.
good for Detroit, especially the penalty kill. Power play could still be better.
All right, Jeremy. All right. And answer your question, it's the Rangers at Madison Square Garden.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
Why? What did I say?
You just said Madison Square Garden, and
You didn't
we
know
never.
what it was.
I was making sure which team we were talking about there.
Well,
Yeah,
Because I know we beat both of
Why
them
the
this week.
Rangers play there,
At
sir?
least I didn't say the New York Knicks.
It doesn't matter. The Islanders played, I believe it's called USB.
Nassau Coliseum.
No,
Yeah,
not
wait, that
anymore.
was
No, they
25 years
they
ago.
Yeah, that was a
That
while
was
ago.
20
Yeah.
That was 25 years ago.
Yeah, well, actually, it was a couple of years ago when they got out of the Barclays Center and had to go back because it wasn't equipped. So, but all right, but no, the Islanders play in the Belmont Park area next to Belmont Park Racetrack. All right, Jeremy, give me your take with not only these 2 stats, but just give me your take on the Wings per se.
The Wings are playing phenomenal. They are ahead of schedule from what I hoped they would be. Who knows where they'll go? But who knows that we don't know if they'll continue this trend because I still think they need a better goaltender. Other than that, I think they're headed in the right direction.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Kirby.
Kirby Puckett. I mean, Kirby's in his
Listen, I was at a game at Old Tiger Stadium, and there was some guy that harassed Kirby, like from the right field stands, harassed him every half inning that he was in right field. And by like his 2nd or 3rd at bat, they dragged the guy out of there. Like he was shouting at Kirby Puckett the whole game.
What year was that?
1990.
Tiger Stadium.
92, 93. I was at the last home opener at Tiger Stadium. And
you're almost as was I,
Go ahead.
actually.
obstructed view against the Tampa Bay Rays.
Was that
No.
George? We were both there for the last Open.
That was
But anyways,
that was
give me your thoughts.
98,
99.
I think.
99.
No, 99 was the first year of Comerica, I think.
Yep.
No,
No,
2000 was
2000.
First year, 2000?
Yeah, it was 2000.
Okay. Okay,
All right,
I was wrong.
That's all right. Give me your thoughts on the Red Wings.
I am shocked. I'm cautiously optimistic. I've seen this before 2 out of 3 times in the last couple years, but not for this many games. Never saw them at 7, and I mean, look, the standings. That's why my jaw dropped, because I hadn't looked at the standings in a couple days. I knew they won a couple games. Then I saw 7-3, and I was like,
You what?
probably, yeah.
And
Last
then
I saw, they were like,
what is it? 3
2 and
points in
3.
the overtime losses.
Right.
no, it's 3.
1 overtime win and 3 overtime losses.
Yeah,
But you still get the point, right?
yeah.
For the loss in overtime.
Well, I know they got
I'm
that
just-
goaltender that they drafted up recently, the real tall guy. That I don't
Yeah.
recall the guy. Well, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the college
It was
kid.
actually the thing that I was looking at when I looked at the last couple game logs was which goal he played, how many goals he gave up, and the save percentage. Because I swear, for the last 2, I mean, prior to this year, the last 2.5, 3 seasons, the goaltending was terrible. I mean, the defense was terrible as well. I would watch or be listening to it on the radio. They'd be up 1-0, and then I go inside and not turn it on TV. Next thing you know, they lost 7-2. And I'm like, what's going on with this goaltending? Is this remember NFL Blitz, the video game where you could just kill everyone?
Yeah.
No pass interference, no none of that. There was an NHL one called Hits, and it was like that, and stupid high scoring, and that's what these Red Wings games reminded me of. So I'm looking
but they
back
got
and
the-
seeing the goaltending. Like, the goaltending is better, the defense is better. Anything in front of that, like, it's interchangeable parts.
That is what I was about
Yeah,
to say, though.
that's why
Defensively,
this
the
team's
blue line
7-3.
play has been amazing.
Mo
I've
Seider
watched a
is
couple of games.
The man.
Yeah.
So the
You
guy
know,
I'm referring to,
Mo Seider is what Dylan Larkin was supposed to be.
I believe Sebastian Cosa, is that the guy that's on the farm?
Yeah, 6'6" goalie, Scott. He's 229. He's from Alberta. Yeah, he's the goaltender of the future.
Right.
But Yzerman did a nice job at picking up this Veli Husso. Husso's done a great job so far, and Alex has not been as good in goal, but he had a good game.
Here's one thing I can say about the Red Wings. I promise you I'm going to see a Wings game at the Pizza Box this year, and I haven't before.
Good.
I haven't wanted to go there to watch either team lately, but I'm thinking about going.
I'm going to be at a few Pistons games. The Mavericks.
We're still waiting, as you know, Scott.
Parking is more expensive than the tickets.
There's not been a playoff game at Little Caesars Arena yet since it opened. That's sad.
Well, that's inevitable. I'm not going to go.
It's an office building.
Well, first of all, when Joe Louis Arena opened
the shopping mall.
Well, hold on. When Joe Louis Arena opened up, it took a little while before they got one in there too, because that
place was a dump when they opened it.
I know, but my point, Dom, is it took a while for a playoff game in Joe Louis, and how did that work out for you?
I remember the Dead Wings. I'm living through these Dead Wings.
Wow.
Yeah, but it didn't take long at the Palace.
You know what? The first, the only remaining piece of the Dead Wings, remember who it was?
Who are you referring to?
Ned Hartman.
One Steve Yzerman. I have a story to tell you about Steve Yzerman when we get together sometime.
Okay.
It's a good one.
All right.
A great one, in fact.
So, all right, I'm going to go around the horn. One at a time.
He gave me $200.
One at a time. I'm going to go around the horn one more time. All right. I know I have to say it one more time so that we all stay on track. Following Fire Up Michigan, it'll be Fire Up with myself and Mark Mancini. We'll talk about the top headlines in the world of sports over the weekend. Any closing thoughts, George, about the week in Motown sports?
Well, it was a fantastic weekend. You know, we can't overlook the Michigan win, the Michigan State upset of the Fighting Illini, followed up by the Lions upset, and then, of course, the Red Wings having a special weekend. Only our Pistons let us down. They might make it up for a little bit tonight. They're playing Oklahoma City, but they lost to the Cavaliers. So it's been a really good weekend.
One loss, sir.
it's been a great weekend for the sports fan in Detroit. No question about it, Scott.
All right, Dom, since you were chomping, say a word. Go ahead. Give me your thoughts about the weekend sports. And
Hang on, I'm trying to see the Pistons score.
Technically,
I hate
Monday's
Michigan
not the
football.
weekend, Dom. Technically, the weekend's over. So even if they win tonight, it doesn't count.
Right.
You're right. I hate Michigan football. And you guys know this. And I don't know. I had to have said it on this show before. If I didn't, I am now. I'm doubling down. Michigan has a realistic chance to compete for the national title. And now that Sparty beat Illinois, I'm no longer worried about Michigan blowing that game against Illinois and then beating Ohio State. Both get into the playoffs and they lose to Ohio State. Plus now Tennessee's dead and buried, probably. Michigan can't beat Georgia. I think they could beat Alabama, TCU, whoever might be left around from anything west of the Mississippi. Not Michigan could beat any of those teams. But what else? Go Lions. That's it.
All right, Jeremy.
Interesting factoid about Michigan, since everybody brought it up. Do you realize in their 7 wins so far, they have given up 6 points total in the third quarter? And in the last 4 games in the fourth quarter, they have outscored teams 100-3.
100-6? Oh, 100-3.
To 3.
Yeah, I saw it earlier.
Wow.
That being said,
now they're making memes proving my point. The one time I'm supporting Michigan this century.
that being said, they're doing something that no other team has done in NCAA football history. A total of 9 points scored against them.
And it's a week field.
Half.
Go
And
Michigan.
Yeah. Well,
They were talking about it on Canty and Carlin tonight, and they said that is the type of stuff that wins a national championship. When you're not allowing teams to score and you're housing them in the second half. It doesn't matter what you do in the first half. It's how you close out.
Yeah, true. Very
That
good
being
point.
said,
All right.
this was the best defensive effort I've seen out of Lions defense since 2014-15.
All right. I'll end with one closing thought, then everybody can identify themselves. I'm going to end it with Aiden.
I was looking for my Breland Edwards jersey.
That's all right. I'll end it on one closing thought. Aiden Hutchinson. I always like to pick from the beginning, and I definitely like the pick now. Aiden Hutchinson is a stud. All he has to do is stay healthy, and the Lions finally get it right. But the biggest thing that Mel Farr Jr. said on Thursday's edition of Inside the Pigskin was, when we comment on the TJ Hawkinson trade, he didn't like it. I wasn't fond of the idea that they traded him either. And the reason why I wasn't fond is the objective with your number one pick is that the Lions can't seem to get him past the first contract. And to me, that's an indictment about, the way they do business. You want to make sure that your players get past the first contract. Whether or not, pardon me?
I didn't hear what you said. I was muted, or you guys were
Okay.
talking about Hawkinson?
Yeah, well, so what I'm trying to tell you, okay, is anytime
I got
a team has a first round pick, you want to see him get more than just the first contract. And that's where your personnel department,
if he's successful.
right.
Never should have taken him there.
Well, that's not
This
the
is
point.
a Bob Quinn
Oh, that is
mistake.
my point.
He's being jettisoned.
That is my point. He just said
Never
it for
should have
me.
taken him there.
This regime didn't draft him. He wasn't performing to the standards that he should have been held to. That's why he's gone.
Catapult out of town, Minnesota. You'll get there. Thanks for the draft picks.
Yeah, well, that's true. Okay, and the Lions haven't been shy about trading with the Vikings because they got the wide receiver as well. So it's not the second time they made a trade. All I'm saying, whether the Hawkinson move was a good move or a bad move, that's not where I'm going with it. Where I'm going with this whole thing is, if these guys are successful in their first contract, you need to lock them up past that first contract. That's it. This is not anything to do with Hawkinson.
You're right. That's why he got traded.
Right. So,
Catapult, get out. If Minnesota beats us in a playoff game because of TJ Hawkinson, I'll be like, that was a bad trade. And I still would say it was a bad trade because thank you for those draft picks. Sorry,
You
to
know what?
interrupt.
If he,
These are
if
things
he
I get passionate about.
the fact that they tried to work out an extension, which means they did want to keep him past that first contract,
Right.
but he didn't want to accept it on their terms. At that point, it's get rid of him, get better than what you can get in compensation, and they did that because you can't get a second round pick as a compensatory pick.
Listen, you know what?
Tight
I'll be the
end.
first. Hold on. I'll be the first to admit, okay, that if you can't keep them, you might as well get something instead of nothing. Okay, Dom, go ahead.
How many is that?
10.
10
Plus
1 is 11.
makes what?
11.
11. 11. The
11
easiest out of 11 positions to replace on offense. Hawken who? Touchdown. Injured 5th round pick. Ooh, this guy sucks. Touchdown. Hawken who?
Hey, guess
I'm
what?
not sorry for yelling right now. What did I say 5 times yesterday, Jeremy? Hawken who?
I know.
Thank you
But
for
wait,
draft
it
picks,
gets
Minnesota.
better. It gets better. What did Hawk do for Minnesota yesterday? 9 catches, 70 yards, no touchdowns. We won.
So Minnesota won too.
No, that ain't what I'm talking about. We won the trade. First game production of our rookies
Don't
and our
need
UDFAs.
Easiest
Beat out
position
his
to
production.
replace. There's a reason you don't take TJ Hawkinson in the first round. Or any tight end, Eric Ebron.
Wait, I understood why they
Drew.
took him. I read all the draft profiles. I remember what everybody said. This guy's a stud. He's an extra tackle in the run blocking game. That's why they chose him. And it was a bald-faced lie.
That.
Hindsight is easy now to judge that draft.
There you go. All right.
And it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Out.
They're
Tight end.
you're
First
right,
round.
Scott.
Luxury
You're right,
pick.
Scott.
Bad team. Eric
One of the
Ebron.
what you said, Scott, is right. One of the very few is Matthew Stafford, where he got a new contract in this
Calvin
organization,
Johnson.
and now Fox got a
Right.
new contract. But a lot of the rest of them, you're
And you
right,
don't
Scott,
punt, but you
They're
still
not
Taylor
Taylor
Decker.
they're not staying on.
Frank
Okay,
Ragnow.
Ragnow, did he get a second one?
Yeah, he's already got his extension. We have him
So-
through
Those
2027.
will be the only
Okay,
picks
so
that
this
you don't see
There's a few,
Brad Holmes usher
but
out.
not enough.
The O-lineman.
Right.
And Walker, probably. And that's
Oh, we
about
already
it.
re-signed. We already re-signed Walker. He's past his
Right.
first contract.
You're right.
He's hurt.
Well, all I can tell you is this.
Go do your
Yeah.
other show.
Pardon me?
Go do your other show.
No, I'll do that in a minute anyways.
We got to talk. We
The
got to
name
talk
of the
about
game-
what we
the
do.
name of the game is get to the second contract. Period.
Yep.
That's your
You're
report.
right.
Right? That's all. Whether it's a good pick or not, like George said, hindsight is what it is. Before I get to my other show, though, everybody's gonna have an opportunity to identify to let them know how they get older. All right, Tom, you're all over the map with all your little nicknames, so you can either talk about that or whatever you want, my friend. I really enjoy, I love having you on.
You
though,
have 3
Tom.
very good Detroit Lions brains, so remind me of Brad Holmes's all of his picks in the first 3 rounds. How many of those get to a second contract? I bet more than Quinn's. Under Quinn, definitely under Holmes.
All right, fair enough. All right, so with that said, Tom, let everybody know how they get a hold of you.
On here on Mondays, nothing on Tuesdays, Wednesdays with Jeremy on the NFL Roundtable, smoking Jeremy B. Kneecap Biters, smoking Jeremy B. Thursdays, Alex Fleming's NFL Carousel, Megan Price's Sip Off coming back soon. Also, Megan Price's NBA Carousel coming back on Mondays soon. Fridays, that's NFL Man Cave with Jeremy, smoking Jeremy B. Also the Gauntlet. Saturdays, nothing. Sunday, Basket Pros, 8 p.m. with you, Mr. Morgan Roth, and Will Vogel, and Denzel Snipes, and yeah. That's so long-winded.
It's all right. Well,
Can I
you're
just
involved
hold up
in
a
lot.
piece of paper next time?
Well, you have a lot
If you
going on.
want transcripts from tonight's show, get a pen and write down everything I said.
Yeah, right.
That's Kevin
All right.
Nealon from Weekend Update.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Jeremy. Well, but before you go, Jeremy, okay, I'll go one more time on our checker as well. All right. Subscribe to the South Florida Tribune on our YouTube channel or visit www.southfloridatribune.com. And the advertise call 954-304-4941. The audio portion of the show can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow us as well at Tribune South. If you have difficulty getting to it from the website, go to youtube.com, look for South Florida Tribune, and then please subscribe that way. Also, you can email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com, and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions and relate them to all the broadcast help that we have. So, yeah, the email address, southfloridatribune@gmail.com, as well as Twitter at Tribune South. All right, Jeremy, go ahead.
All right, you can find me Mondays here at 8 o'clock on Fire Up Michigan. Then immediately following at 9:30, I have my Lions postgame show. Tuesday's my night off. Wednesdays, I have the NFL Roundtable where Dom is always a guest and might as well say co-host because he's always there. Then on Thursdays, I have my college show at 9 p.m. and I do a post-game show on Let's Talk Sports Network about the Thursday night football game. Fridays is the Lions Man Cave Chat. All can be found on my YouTube channel, Kneecap Biting with Smoking Jeremy B. You can also find all my writings underneath South Florida Tribune. Go to where it says Motor City Tribune. Click down. You will see me on the list of authors where I write about the Lions constantly.
Good stuff. All right, George, you have a lot on your plate, including a book. Go ahead, George.
Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the air, starring many, many greats in our broadcast business: Ernie Harwell, Van Patrick, Ray Lane, Paul Carey, Frank Beckman, George Blaha, and Scott Morganroth. Scott's in there. You featured my friend with the Detroit connection you made to interview Muhammad Ali and Jimmy Connors. I remember those pictures.
Yeah.
It's a great read, $19.99 or something like that on Amazon, or use a link on my Motor City Tribune sports column page. You can get a link to purchase the book. And don't forget, you can reach me at gicorn@yahoo.com and also SNG Sports 99 at Twitter.
Very good. Well, good show tonight, folks. Obviously, the election is tomorrow. So if you're looking to make a difference, yes, Tom.
One more thing. Ray Lane is a drunk. My cop friend can attest to that because he had to go.
Please stop it. Stop that kind of talk.
All right, leave it alone, Tom. I like Ray. He's good peeps. All right, but you I won't touch that with a 10-foot pole. But like I said, tomorrow's election day. If you're looking to make a difference, you have an opportunity in your respective areas. And I started the show on this note, and I'm going to end it the same way. Rest in peace, Aunt Mary. 103 years old is a heck of a run. And to me, what you did is nothing short of remarkable to handle all that endurance. She passed away on Saturday at around 2:25 Eastern time, but I had an opportunity once again to see her 5 years ago, introduce my wife to her, and she's just amazing. So once again, Aunt Mary, rest in peace. God bless. And kudos to your family for doing an unbelievable job on your funeral. I had a chance to watch it all over the World Wide Web. So, well, that concludes this edition of Fire Up Michigan. Immediately afterwards, we fire up with myself and Mark Mancini. We'll talk about some of the top topics that occurred over the last week. And then, of course, next week, Fire Up Michigan will be probably moved out to a later time, as I have a special edition of the Sports Exchange that'll come in before. We'll give you updates before we go on. There will be no Fire Up show with Mark Mancini. It's his birthday, so he's taking the night off, but that doesn't mean we are here at the South Florida Tribune Broadcasting Network. So on behalf of George Eichhorn, Smoking Jeremy B, and Don Darubis, my name is Scott Morgan.
It's not lit.
My name is Scott Morganroth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Fire Up Michigan. Until the next time, have a great week. Look forward to catching up with you later. Enjoy your sports week and just be safe out there. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye now.